Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you the TV characters that I was obsessed with in 2024. You guys, I love nothing more than TV shows. It is my favorite medium to consume. I've said before, I do love and enjoy movies, but there's just something about television that I personally love and prefer. I love spending extended amounts of time in a world, extended amounts of time with a character. So yeah, this entire list is going to be all TV characters that I was just absolutely hooked and obsessed with in the year of 2024. Seriously, when I love a character, I love a character, okay? So yeah, this list is not going to be in any particular order. I'm just kind of starting from the beginning of 2024 to the end of 2024. That's going to be how the list is. This is not a ranking by any means. So yeah, let's get going. I have 20 characters on this list, yeah guys, and I'm going to definitely do my best to stay away from spoilers, because if you've not seen any of these shows, obviously I don't want to accidentally spoil you for anything. So let's get going with the 20 characters I was hooked and obsessed with in the year of 2024, you guys. Ooh. First up, we have the character of Dot from the latest season of Fargo. Dot was played by Juno Temple, and my god, Juno Temple, why was she not nominated for more like awards this year, you know, like Emmys and Golden Globes and all those things? It's a travesty she was not really nominated for anything. Seriously, was she nominated for anything? I don't think she was. The character of Dot in, like I said, the latest season of Fargo, Dot, she has such a fascinating background, because when you're first introduced to Dot, you think Dot is this kind of perfect mother, this perfect wife, this perfect homemaker, but you quickly find out that Dot has a backstory and a history that goes pretty deep, and she's a badass, and she's willing to kill if necessary to protect herself and to protect her family. So what quickly gets established over the course of this particular season of Fargo, you quickly find out that Dot ran away from a domestic abuse situation. She ran away from a man that was absolutely terrible. Not only terrible to her, but terrible to others, and just his principles were absolutely despicable. And yet, Juno Temple just playing this role, it's like this was the role she was meant to play. Dot is just really relatable. She's likable, and yeah, she will do anything for her family. Like I said, she's willing to kill if necessary. Yeah, she knows how to handle herself. She knows how to use a weapon. She's very quick on her feet. That's the thing. She knows how to pivot. So yeah, definitely a highlight character this year in television. Next up, the next three characters all come from the TV show Shogun, yeah guys. I don't have too many characters on this list that come from like the same TV show. So yeah, Shogun is one of the few. So yeah, like I said, I have three characters from Shogun. I freaking loved Shogun. Yeah, guys, definitely easily like the best show of the year. And if you've not seen it, you need to go watch it right now, okay? Stop what you're doing and come back to me later and go watch Shogun, okay? So the very first character is the character of Mariko, played by Anna Sawai. And let me tell you, Anna Sawai has been nominated for everything with good reason, and I think she's pretty much been winning everything. You go, girl. The TV show Shogun, it takes place, I believe, in the year 1601, if I'm not mistaken, taking place entirely in Japan, and for the most part, the entire show is subtitled. You have characters speaking Portuguese and Japanese, a little bit of English kind of thrown in there, but for the most part, it's all in Japanese, you guys. So the main character of Mariko, like I said, played by Anna Sawai, she's actually a translator. Our main character, John Blackthorne, he's an English sailor who gets stranded in Japan and kind of taken hostage, essentially, and Mariko becomes his translator to various different characters throughout the season. And of course, the two of them form a really tight, sexy relationship, you guys. Mariko, she is just, oh my god, one of the top female performances in the year of 2024, you guys. Again, there's a reason why Anna Sawai has been nominated for all sorts of awards and why she's winning all of them. Mariko she's a very quiet figure. She's really subtle and quiet, but just her presence is so demanding, and you can just feel her emotions. She's a character that her emotions, if allowed, you know, they're just bubbling right there underneath the surface. She's a very integral character to the entirety of the show. Again, she's a translator. It's very important, her role and function in the story. And yeah, she has her own really dark, deep backstory. She has her own personal demons that she's dealing with. And yeah, her story ultimately goes to some just awe-inducing places. And another character that made it on this list from Shogun is the character of Toranaga, Lord Toranaga, played by Hiroyuki Sanada. I tell you what, Hiroyuki Sanada, he's one of those actors that you've seen him in numerous things. He's been in Hollywood for decades, and it's about time he got a lead on a show like this, and he himself has been getting a lot of award nominations and wins as well. The character of Lord Toranaga, he's a man who he's very ambitious. He's very manipulative. He's really cold and calculating in his own way, but not to the point that he's evil. He's not really an evil type of character, but you totally understand him. You totally sympathize with him. You totally understand his goals and his agendas and what it is he's specifically kind of looking for, and why he's targeting the people that he's targeting, to try to, beat them at their own games. He's so very calculating, and he's always multiple steps ahead of any given character, which makes him so wonderfully fascinating. And yet again, Hiroyuki Sanada, a remarkable performance. I loved it. And then, yeah, the third character from Shogun is the character of Yabushi, played by Tadanobu Asano. Easily one of my top favorite characters from the show. Yabushi, if I had to describe his character, if you've seen something like Game of Thrones, for instance, Yabushi is kind of a more slightly comedic version of Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, if you will. Yabushi, he's always looking after number one. Okay, that's his agenda. He's always looking out for number one. What is going to benefit him the most? How can he pivot and come out on top of a given situation? Because sometimes certain things kind of transpire throughout the show, and he's up and down with various different relationships. So again, it's always a situation of, where can I pivot and get out on top? He's always looking out for himself. And he's one of the more comedic characters, but also still a really dark, interesting character who definitely has his own ambitions, his own agendas, and he can be really cold and calculating just as much as Lord Toranaga. So yeah, I loved him. Next up, we have the character of Count Alexander Rostov from A Gentleman in Moscow, played by Ewan McGregor. I just really love the character of Alexander Rostov. Yeah, guys, especially just Ewan McGregor's performance, kind of the role he was meant to play. I feel like, if you don't know what A Gentleman in Moscow is about, it's based off of the book of the same name, and it follows a man during the Russian Revolution, and we all know how that ended. The aristocracy was kind of taken down, it's about him during the Russian Revolution, and he's essentially, under the rule of the new Communist Party. Essentially, he's put under house arrest at the local hotel, and he spends the remainder of his life in this hotel under house arrest. And if he steps outside, he's going to be shot and killed by a soldier. So this series spans the course of multiple decades, because we go from the revolution, the Russian Revolution, into like World War II, and then a bit after World War II. So yeah, multiple decades, and it's all about Alexander Rostov's character journey in this hotel, because when he's first put in this hotel, he's given a really terrible room. His privilege has been totally stripped from him. Like I said, he was a count. He was part of the aristocracy, so everything has been ripped from him, and he's just stuck in this really tiny room. So at first it seems like all hope is lost, and it seems like his life is over. But kind of the point of this series is the fact that he needs to make the most of his situation, and still keep living, you know. And it is, I think it's very much a celebration of life to some degree, and his journey realizing what is important in life. But yeah, Ewan McGregor, wow, I loved his performance in this. I wish he was nominated for some more awards this season. My next two characters come from Mary and George. This was a show that aired on the Stars Network. So to let you know what Mary and George is even about before I get into the two characters, the show takes place under the reign of King James of England, during kind of like the early 1600s. And the first character that made my list is Mary Villiers, aka the Duchess of Buckingham, played very wonderfully by Julianne Moore. Yeah, guys. When I first found out that Julianne Moore was going to do this TV series, I was kind of just shocked because she's just a very high caliber, high ranking actress. So I was just really kind of pleasantly surprised that she decided to do this role, but I'm glad she did. I can't imagine anybody else playing this character. But yeah, Mary Villiers, she's the matriarch of this family, and boy, oh boy, is she an ambitious woman. You guys, she is highly ambitious, and yeah, she needs her family in good standing. You know, not only good standing in society, you know, within the court. Well, yeah, within the court too. Yeah, she needs high standing with her finances and within the court of King James. And Mary Villiers is willing to do anything. She's willing to throw just about anybody under the bus, including her own children. Which leads me to my next favorite character, which is George Villiers, the Duke of Buckingham. Played by Nicholas Galitzine, I think is how his last name is pronounced. So yeah, we have Mary and George, both Mary and George here. George Villiers, boy oh boy, the direction his character goes on this season, on this show, because he's a rather angsty, emo, suicidal character in the first couple episodes. But yeah, his mother, Mary, played by Julianne Moore, his mother's like, hey, you're my son. I need you to step up your game, and I need you to be of some use and benefit to this family. So, kind of knowing her son's inclinations, if you will, she wants George to cozy up to King James, not just be a courtier in the court, but also be his lover, if you will, like his high ranking lover, not just a plaything temporarily. You know, he needs to be there in a permanent fashion. So, this whole show is about this dynamic between mother and son within the court of King James, and yeah, the ambition that they have, and the scandal that they cause, and yeah, the manipulation of King James. You know, and for the character of George, is it true love or is it not? That's kind of what you're left questioning throughout this entire show. Is the love that he has for King James, is it all just for show? Is it just an act, or does it eventually morph into something more? Yeah, I loved this particular show. It was so good. Next up, my next two characters come from Doctor Who. We had the return of Doctor Who this year with a whole new doctor, a whole new companion. It was really thrilling. It was really exciting. I was in a bit of anxiety and turmoil because the last couple seasons of Doctor Who have not been particularly good, and I was very anxious, and I'm just really happy to say, for myself personally, I loved this season of Doctor Who. I loved the new Doctor. I loved the new companion. So yeah, that is my next two characters. It is the Doctor himself, played by Ncuti Gatwa, and his companion, Ruby Sunday, played by Millie Gibson. I just loved and adored these two. They're both younger, they're athletic, they're youthful, they're charming, they're fun. Just there's a lot of joy to it, if you will. And I feel like the show went back to its roots to some degree, because I feel like Doctor Who has not felt like Doctor Who for quite some time, and that's kind of hard to explain. There's just something about Doctor Who that I find engaging and fun and whimsical, and I felt like for the last couple seasons it's lost that charm and whimsy and fun, and I really feel like Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson, they brought the fun and joy back, for me personally anyway. But yeah, this version of the Doctor, played by Ncuti Gatwa, like I said, he is just, he's so flamboyant, he's so out there, he's willing to just do whatever. He seems to always have a smile on his face even when things are kind of going bad. And then yeah, you have Ruby Sunday, his companion. Ruby is so delightful, and she has her own little backstory going on, that she's looking for her mother. So that's kind of a big thing throughout this entire season. Is she going to find her mother or not? And who is she? Yeah, Ruby and the Doctor just play so wonderfully from start to finish with each other. And again, I felt like Doctor Who was back in fine form. Next, I have the character of Armand from Interview with the Vampire, played by Assad Zaman. I'm kind of surprised that Armand made the list, you guys, because for a little while there in the latest season of Interview with the Vampire, I just wasn't sure how I felt about Armand, because part of me liked the character, part of me didn't. But boy, oh boy, I really kind of quickly warmed up to him, especially by the last couple episodes, the direction that his character went, and it really made me re-examine his character. Once certain things kind of got revealed in the last couple episodes of this particular season, it did. It really made me re-examine his character. It really gave me a whole different perspective and look at his character. And I think Armand really turned into one of the highlight characters of this season. Yeah, he's a centuries old vampire. He's been at this game for a long time. He's been around death for so long, and yeah, does he truly love Louis? Because he forms a relationship with the character of Louis, who is also a vampire. Yeah, Armand is willing to kind of do some devious, manipulative things over the course of this season, which don't entirely get revealed until you kind of approach the end of the season. Yeah, and Azad Zaman, his performance just each and every episode just kept getting better and better and better, and I really loved the writing for his character. Next, I have the character of Tommy Jeopard, played by Nonso Anozie, and he comes from the TV show Sweet Tooth. This show, you guys, Sweet Tooth, it is like the most underrated show out there on Netflix. You need to watch it. It's only 3 seasons. Sweet Tooth takes place in the near future in kind of this post-apocalyptic world where there was some sort of pandemic that happened, and it caused a whole generation of babies to be born who don't look entirely human. They look animalistic. They have animalistic features. So this our main child in this show, he's part human, part deer, if you will. He has like little antlers and he has little ears, and he's the sweetest little thing ever. And the thing is, and he goes by the name of Sweet Tooth, or Gus. His real name is Gus, but the character that's on my list, he calls him Sweet Tooth. And Gus, his whole thing, he wants to find his mother more than anything, and he also wants to figure out if there is a cure to the disease that has been going on. Like I said, since this pandemic occurred, there's all the babies since have been born with animalistic features. So he's curious if there's a cure for this, if humanity can be saved, because humanity is very slowly dying out. All the humans are dying out, but what is surviving and thriving are these babies who have animalistic features. So it's kind of this whole thing, can humanity be saved? Does humanity deserve to be saved? And escorting him is Nonso Anozie's character, Tommy Jeopard. Pre-pandemic, Jep, as he goes by, Jep was like a really popular football player. So post-pandemic and whatnot, he obviously is not a football player anymore, and yeah, he's lost his family through everything that has happened. And he runs into Gus, and they form this just bizarre relationship with one another. But Jep sees it as his duty to help Gus find his mother and see if there is any possible cure for this this disease that's been going around, you know. I love the character of Jep, you guys. He is such a human character. He's incredibly flawed, and he has this vulnerabilities. And yeah, if you've seen Nonso Anozie, he's a big guy. You know, he's a big, huge guy. So he has his strengths there, but he also has his weaknesses too. And he's just such an intriguing, powerful, gripping character, and just his protective nature of Gus is just the most heartwarming thing in this entire show. So yeah, this third and final season, I love the character of Jep and ultimately where his story goes. He's one of the most compelling characters on this entire show that you can relate to. You love his vulnerability, his raw vulnerability, and yeah, the things he's willing to do for Gus. I love it. My next favorite character, Aemond Targaryen, played by Ewan Mitchell in House of the Dragon. Yeah, guys. Of course, Aemond Targaryen was going to make this list. Hell yes. If I was doing a ranking of this list, Aemond Targaryen honestly would be my number one favorite character of the year. Okay, I'm not going to lie. House of the Dragon is a prequel to Game of Thrones, if you've been living under a bubble. And the character of Aemond Targaryen, he is a Targaryen, obviously. And this latest season of House of the Dragon, wow, his character goes to some great places because the way season 1 ended, without spoiling anything, the way season 1 ended, he committed an atrocity, if you will. He committed something bad. And so there's now this Targaryen civil war going on between two different factions of the Targaryen family, and like who has rightful ownership of the Iron Throne, if you will. And a lot of a lot of this civil war is because of Aemon Targaryen, you guys. It's all his fault. And his character is just so fascinating, you guys. He is just unendingly fascinating in my opinion. He's a character who was bullied quite brutally as a child, so he has a lot of childhood trauma that he's dealing with. Yeah, he lost his eye at a very young age due to childhood trauma. Yeah, he has mommy issues, he has brother issues. He's a very angsty, emo kind of guy, if you will. And Ewan Mitchell's performance, I absolutely am in love with his performance because it's a very subtle performance, because the writers don't give Aemon Targaryen a lot of dialogue. A lot of his character, it's all done through Ewan Mitchell's performance, his subtlety, through his body language, and the things that the character is not saying. The things that he is not saying are probably the most informative to why his character is the way that he is, why he commits the heinous acts that he does, why he believes the things that he does. He is straight up the villain of this show, and he is just so wildly fascinating and compelling. And it is a lot of this thanks to Ewan Mitchell's performance, which I cannot get enough of. Like I said, if I was ranking the characters, he would be my number one absolute favorite character of the year for sure. My next two favorite characters of the year come from the TV show The Serpent Queen, that being the character of Catherine de Medici, played by Samantha Morton, and the character the Duke of Anjou, played by Stanley Morgan, who is her son on the show. This is a historical fiction period piece taking place about the late 1500s, right? I'd say, yeah, about the late 1500s or so. Following the journey of Catherine de Medici, like I said, played by Samantha Morton. Catherine de Medici was a real historical figure of the time period, one of the most powerful and influential women of the time period. And this is a time period where you had women like Catherine de Medici, you had Mary Queen of Scots, you had Elizabeth I. Just this triad of strong, influential women, which is like unheard of, in any other era of time. And yeah, Catherine de Medici, as played by Samantha Morton, she is an ambitious woman. She's willing to do what it takes. And she does everything in the name of her family, even if her family doesn't quite understand what she's doing. So it is a big thing. How much does she love her children? Because she's always constantly saying she loves her children and that everything she's doing is for them. But is it for them, or is it more for her? And yes, Samantha Morton, dear God, she needed more awards nominations for this role, because Catherine de Medici is just a really subtle manipulator. She can kind of say something one way and kind of mess with your mind, and then say something to another person and mess with their mind, and like really get people kind of back and forth with one another, like what's going on, Catherine de Medici on this show is just so awe-inspiring, I feel like. And then my second favorite character from that show, this particular season, because it had two seasons, and got canceled, you guys. I am so pissed that the show got canceled. Why, Stars? Why? And so, yeah, my other favorite character from this particular season of The Serpent Queen was the character of the Duke of Anjou, played by Stanley Morgan, who is the son of Catherine de Medici. The character of Anjou, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I loved him. He's like this wonderful combination of Aemon Targaryen and George Villiers from the Mary and George TV show. Two characters that happen to make this list. Anjou is just a troubled young man. He's the spare, essentially, because there's the king. His brother is king, and he's essentially the spare, and he feels like he can kind of do and say whatever he wants, but realistically he kind of can't. He is still a pawn in his mother's games, if you will, and he just wants to be himself, and that's kind of the tragedy of the character of Anjou. He can't really be himself. And there's this wonderful power dynamic that's going on between Catherine de Medici and Anjou throughout the entire season, how they kind of manipulate and control each other, and I was just here for it, you guys. My next favorite character is the character of Ko Han-soo, played by Lee Min-ho from this latest season of Pachinko. Pachinko is another underrated show that it's like one of the best shows out there that nobody is watching, and you need to watch it. Yeah, the character of Han-soo, in the previous season, he fooled around with a young woman, got a child by her, and the two of them have kind of acknowledged, hey, we're not going to let this boy know that you're his father. You know, we're going to lie about that whole thing. It takes place in like the early 1900s, and this particular season we're going up into like World War II and whatnot. Taking place, the first season, half of it took place in Korea, and this second season is pretty much all in Japan, if you will. So yeah, the character of Han-soo, as I said, played by Lee Min-ho, he's the type of character. Is he a villain? I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily call him a villain. He's definitely an antagonist, and he's definitely a foil. Han-soo's character, he's a very wealthy businessman. He's already married with children. So yeah, he had this fling with this young woman back in Korea, producing a son. So about a decade has gone by, and this young man has no idea that Han-soo is his father. So that's kind of the big thing going on in this show. Han-soo wanting to support his son, but without being like, hey, I'm your dad, that's why I'm supporting you, and that's why I'm trying to help you with career opportunities and whatnot. Yeah, Han-soo is just so fascinating. Like I said, he's a wealthy businessman, married, already has children, but yeah, he still has this desire to help his illegitimate bastard son, if you will, and does everything for him. And yeah, the direction of this particular season takes, it gets wild, it gets insane. Yeah, Lee Min-ho, my god, I love him. He's a gorgeous looking man as well, and yeah, his performance is just top notch. Plus, he was barely in season 1, okay? The character of Han-soo was barely in season 1, so I love that they took a step up with his character, and he was in this season so much more. You really got to see a lot more of his character and how manipulative and conniving and ambitious he was. I loved it. Next up, I have 3 characters that come from the Rings of Power, you guys, the Lord of the Rings prequel show. I know that Rings of Power, there's a lot of people who don't like it. A lot of people think it's trash and garbage. I'm here to say that I personally really love Rings of Power. Okay, is it perfect? Hell no. The show definitely has a lot of flaws and issues to it, but it's still one of those shows that every week that it was on, I was still highly looking forward to it and seeing where things were going. You know, I was still obsessed with it. So I have 3 characters from the Rings of Power that I was absolutely freaking obsessed and hooked with, you guys, okay? So the first one, obviously, the character of Sauron, played by Charlie Vickers. The way season 1 ended, we got our big Sauron reveal. So this second season, we know who Sauron is. We get to see him in all of his evil villain glory, okay? And it's wonderful. Charlie Vickers, he just has such fun with this character. You can tell that he loves this character. You can tell that he has read the lore, you know, the extended lore by J.R.R. Tolkien, because even in interviews, Charlie Vickers knows his stuff, okay? And yeah, Sauron, wow, throughout the season, he's often referred to as the Great Deceiver. He knows how to wiggle right into your ear and say the right things to you, and totally, absolutely manipulate and control you. He is the master of excelling at gaslighting. Okay. Yeah, Sauron, definitely one of my top favorite characters this year. I just love seeing him in all his badass evil glory. I was totally here for it. And seriously, why is Sauron hot? That's what I'm most upset about. Why is he so hot? Okay, Sauron should not be hot. He's like the greatest evil in Middle Earth, and he's so incredibly hot. And then my second favorite character from Rings of Power was the character of Adar, played by Sam Hazeldine this season. Back in season 1, Adar was played by Joseph Maul, but there was a recast, and Sam Hazeldine took over this season. And at first I was very hesitant because I loved Joseph Maul's performance in season 1, but boy oh boy, Sam Hazeldine really came out and stole the show, in my opinion. I freaking love the character of Adar, you guys. He is the father of the orcs, if you will. That is the best way to put it. He looks out and cares for the orcs, and all he and the orcs want, they just want their own place that they can call home. They just want to be accepted. And yeah, Adar, he's kind of one of those characters. Is I don't know if he's necessarily a hero, but I guess an anti-hero. You know, I guess that's the best way to describe Adar. He's an anti-hero and an antagonist to characters like Sauron and to Galadriel and whatnot. Adar, he's a fallen elf, essentially. He was kind of captured centuries ago. He's lived for a very long time. He was tortured, manipulated, like just he has been deformed, you know. He's been through a lot. He's a very tragic character at the end of the day. And yeah, Sam Hazeldine's performance, you guys, I was absolutely obsessed with his character. Okay, easily one of my top favorite characters on this show. And just the direction his story took, I just could not get enough of this character. He easily stole the show, and it's all thanks to Sam Hazeldine. And you guys, is it just me? Adar is really freaking hot. Okay, I know he looks the way that he does, but damn, he is hot. I don't know if it's just because Sam Hazeldine in real life, he's a good-looking guy, you know. But it's like if you look underneath all that makeup, you know. Ooh. And then my third favorite character from the world of Rings of Power is the character of Celebrimbor, played by Charles Edwards. I loved sweet, wonderful, naive Celebrimbor, you guys. He's like the elven, what would you call it, a blacksmith, I guess? Is that what he would be? Is that the technical term? Celebrimbor, like, makes wonderful, grand things for all of the elves. And he is essentially the creator of the Rings of Power, if you will. And he teams up with Sauron this season, not knowing that it's actually Sauron. That's kind of the big thing. He has no idea it's Sauron he's teaming up with. And they start creating all the various different rings. At the very end of season 1, they made the rings for the elves. So this season, they're making the rings for the dwarves. And the big thing that Sauron is wanting Celebrimbor to do is to make the rings for mortal men. And Celebrimbor is really hesitant about that, you know, because the elves are really high and mighty of themselves, and so they really look down on the world of men, and they see men and man as corrupt. So Celebrimbor really does not want to make the 9 rings, but this is where we get the wonderful manipulation by Sauron and the gaslighting that occurs. And Celebrimbor, this relationship that he has with Sauron throughout the season, there's this wonderful dynamic of friendship. Like, if Sauron was not the guy that he is, if he wasn't evil, these two would have such a great romance, okay? A wonderful romance. And it gets destroyed. And Celebrimbor, he's such a noble, honor-bound character, I think, in some ways. And there's just this depth and degree of tragedy and destruction that happens, and his involvement in the creation of these rings that he feels terribly guilty and ashamed about by the time you reach the conclusion of this show. So yeah, Celebrimbor, Charles Edwards, definitely a top character for me. Seriously, the characters of Sauron, Adar, and Celebrimbor, easily the best thing about Rings of Power. Even people who freaking hate Rings of Power, a lot of the people who hate the show, even a lot of them are in agreement that these three characters dominate the show, and that's why you watch the show. My next favorite character, Sophia Falcone from The Penguin, played by Kristen Milotti. Damn. Yeah, guys. Wow. Sophia Falcone. I saw Robert Pattinson's Batman movie fairly recently, and I was really pleasantly surprised with that version of Robert Pattinson's Batman. I really liked the unique portrayal of that character and the unique look of that world of Gotham and the villains in that. So when it was announced that Max was going to be doing a TV show spin-off of the Batman, and it was going to be focused on Colin Farrell's Penguin character, I was even though I loved the movie, I was like, why do we need a show focused on the Penguin? And wow, this show, The Penguin, is more than just a superhero show, yeah, guys. For starters, it's focused entirely on pretty much the villains. Batman is not in this show, okay? It's strictly entirely focused on Colin Farrell's character, the Penguin, and the female lead of this show, Sophia Falcone, like I said, played by Kristen Milotti. Sophia Falcone, she was wrongfully charged with some murders. She wound up in Arkham Asylum for a couple years, and she comes out a completely different person to who she was when she went in. Because prior to entering Arkham Asylum, she was kind of this innocent, naive woman to some degree, who kind of looked up to her father, but didn't truly see who her father was. So coming out of Arkham, she realizes truly who her father is, and realizes she can't be that naive, innocent girl anymore. She needs to, if she wants to be in charge of a bunch of the families in Gotham, she needs to take charge and really step up her game and be like, hey, no one is going to abuse me anymore. No one's going to talk down to me anymore. I'm going to be the one in charge. I'm going to be the one that you're whimpering in fear to. I want you down on your knees in terror of me. Yeah, Sophia Falcone, what a terrifying character. In some ways, she's the villain, but in some ways, she's also the hero, weirdly enough. Because a lot of times, it's like, you want her to succeed. You want her to beat the Penguin a lot of times. And yet, the relationship between Penguin and Sophia is just so interesting, because they have this prior friendship, and it goes to some really dark places by the time you get to the end of the season. Yeah, Sophia Falcone, definitely a wonderful female performance this year, when there was quite a number of wonderful female performances. Sophia is so flawed and vulnerable and tragic, and you absolutely understand why she does the things that she does. Many things that she does are kind of despicable. She really does some really bad things, but you totally understand her. You totally, weirdly enough, sympathize with her. Should she do the things that she does? No, but you're rooting for her. You're rooting for her to be the one on top. You're kind of rooting for her villainy in some way. Seriously, damn, Sophia Falcone, bravo. And my last character that I was obsessed with this year is the latest character on this list. We have Lord John Grey from Outlander, played by David Barry. At the time of me filming this video, this latest season of Outlander has not finished up. It's only about halfway through, so I have not seen the entirety of Lord John Grey's character this season, but still, with the half of the episodes that I have seen, Lord John Grey's character has been an absolute highlight. David Barry has been just so delightful this season. Here's the thing. In the Outlander books, the character of Lord John Grey, he is my absolute favorite supporting character. Outlander takes place in like the 1700s, some of it in Scotland, some of it in America. Lord John Grey being like a British officer, if you will, a redcoat. And yeah, his character this season, like I said, he's pretty much a supporting character, and he's been in numerous seasons. But I feel like this is the first time that this character has really gotten a big, huge spotlight for like multiple episodes, and it's been really lovely. Like I said, because I love his character, he's one of my top favorite supporting characters, and I've just been so obsessed with Lord John Grey this season. And here's the thing about Lord John Grey: he is a closeted gay man. This is a time period you can't be gay. It's a big no-no, and so he's a closeted gay man, and he's in love with our main male protagonist on this show, but our main male protagonist, he's married to a woman, and of course he doesn't share those same feelings for Lord John Grey, but they still have this really unique and wonderful friendship. Plus, Lord John Grey is taking care of this guy's illegitimate son and raises this child as his own son. So we have a lot of that drama that kind of escapes this season. But yeah, Lord John Grey, he's a character that he's really duty bound, honor bound. Yeah, he comes from a world of wealth and privilege, so he kind of looks down on certain sort of things, you know. But he's but yeah, it's just interesting where his station in life, because he's a closeted gay man, so there's kind of that aspect of him as well that clashes with kind of these other aspects of his character, which is so compelling. But yeah, Lord John Grey, I love him. I just love saying his whole name too, Lord John Grey. So you guys, that is it for my 20 favorite characters that I was obsessed with in the year of 2024. Yeah, guys. So you guys, I'm really curious, if you're a fellow lover of TV like I am, what were some of your favorite characters this year? Any of these characters make your list, or do you have a whole totally different batch? That's cool, because I would love to hear what characters really stood out to you this year. So you guys, yeah, this was a completely different video too. I want to try a different video and see how you guys kind of vibe with it, if you like it or if you don't like it. I enjoyed doing the video, which I guess is important. But yeah, you guys let me know if you like videos like this, especially end of year type things, you know. So yeah, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.